him, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted as Christ. And he brought him to Jesus, and when Jesus beheld him, he said, Thou art Simon the son of Jonah, thou shalt be called Cephas. I want to highlight Simon Peter. There's a lot of characters here, but I want to highlight Simon Peter specifically. This, in verse 41 and 42, this is the day that Simon Peter meets Jesus. This is the first day that Peter meets Jesus. It says, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted as Christ. So Peter finds Jesus. Peter finds Jesus. Keep that in your mind. Peter finds Jesus. And in chapter 2, the very next chapter after this, Jesus turns the water into wine. And that's the first miracle that he does, and that begins his ministry on earth. So in chapter 1, Peter finds Jesus. And in chapter 2, Jesus begins his ministry. The very next chapter, immediately afterwards, Jesus begins his ministry. He turns the water into wine, and he does all these great and marvelous things. Now let us flip to John 18, but don't just flip through it fast. Slowly flip page by page to John 18 while I talk. So as you flip these pages, you're going through 3 years of Jesus' ministry. You're basically fast-forwarding time. From the moment Peter met Jesus and began his ministry to where we're going to find him in John chapter 18, verse 1. As you flip these pages, remember that these are all the miracles that Christ did. Every single miracle, Peter was there. He was there from the beginning. He was there to the end. Every single teaching, all these letters in red that you're looking at, everything that Jesus Christ said, Peter listened to every single word. Everything written in red, black, whatever, Peter was there. He was there through it all. He was there from the beginning of the ministry all the way to the end. We're fast-forwarding 3 years. Peter saw Jesus raise people from the dead. Peter saw Jesus heal the blind eyes. Peter sat, how we are sitting, Peter sat with Jesus. The anointed one, the Messiah, he sat with him. Peter was with Christ every step of the way to the cross. And as we continue and fast forward through time, 3 years later, and I read in John chapter 18, verse 1. When Jesus had spoken these words, he went forth with his disciples over the brook Cedron, where was a garden into the which he entered, and his disciples and Judas also, which betrayed him, knew the place, for Jesus oftentimes resorted thither with his disciples. Judas then, having received a band of men and officers from the chief priests and Pharisees, cometh thither with lanterns and torches and weapons. Jesus therefore, knowing all things that should come upon him, went forth and said unto them, Whom seek ye? They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus said unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, stood with them. As soon then as he said unto them, I am he, they went backwards and fell to the ground. Then asked he them again, Whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus answered, I have told you that I am he. If therefore ye seek me, let these go their way. That the same might be fulfilled which he spake of them, which thou gavest me, have I lost none. Then Simon Peter, having a sword, drew it and smote the high priest's servant and cut off his ears. The servant's name was Malchus. Simon Peter pulled out a sword. Simon Peter walked with Jesus Christ from beginning till end, but he was strapped. Simon Peter walked with Jesus through every miracle. He was there when Jesus would speak in the temple. He was there when he would speak to the multitude. He heard every lesson. He picked up parts of Jesus' personality, but at the same time, he never let go of that sword. He never let go of that subject. He was with Jesus from the beginning till the end. It may not be recorded in the Bible, but common sense will tell me he didn't pick up the habit of walking around strapped when he met Jesus. He didn't pick up a bad attitude when he met Jesus. He didn't pick up being on the edge and any given moment the sword could come out his teeth and he was slay. He didn't pick up the habit when he was with Jesus. Common sense will tell me he picked up that habit before he met Jesus. In John chapter 1, we learn that was the day that Simon Peter found Jesus. At the point of him finding
you Jesus, he had a sword. He had a thug mentality. He was already a gangster. And through his walk with Jesus, by himself, he never let go of that sword. That sword remained at his hip. He didn't just pick up the sword when he saw the guards coming. Because some of Peter told them, but he didn't really understand what was really about to happen. He didn't give a fear about strapping himself a weapon. He already had it with him. If they were going to go pray, he had that sword with him. If they were in the temple, he had that sword with him. Everywhere he went, he walked with Jesus for 3 years. And never had it in his mind, maybe I should put this sword down. I don't need it. He was the King of Kings, the Prince of Peace. He was the Messiah. And he still felt the need to be strapped with the sword. He still felt the need to be strapped with the sword. Jesus Christ, first of all, Christ is not Jesus' last name. Christ means Messiah, anointed. When somebody's anointed and you're around somebody anointed, some of that anointing will rub up on you. You can't be stuck with Jesus. He slept with Jesus. He was this close to the most anointed man that ever walked this earth. There's no way you can be that close with him. He was a disciple. He was in a circle. That anointing must have rubbed off on Peter. That anointing had to. When somebody's greasy and you hug them, you shake their hand, you just look your head, but that grease is going to hit on you. Somebody can't be greasy and you all around them, you might get greasy too. Simon Peter picked up the anointing from Christ. Peter was a very anointed man, but he never let go of that sword. He never let go of that old man, that thug mentality. He never let it go. Though he was rubbing off on Jesus, the anointing was on him. Jesus, they called Jesus the teacher. He taught Peter so many things. In all his teaching, in all that he was getting, the understanding, the wisdom, the revelation. That sword remained right here. That thug mentality, that gangster, that can't find a word. It stayed right here. He never let go of that sword. Come on now. A lot of us are just like Peter. From the point of meeting Christ in your walk with Jesus, you gained a lot, you learned a lot, but there's a part of that old man that we just don't want to let go. There's a part of that old man that we're learning so much, we're moving forward, we're changing, we're getting better, we're improving. It's that old man that remains right here. And at any given moment, the sword can come out the sheath and will show that we haven't fully been delivered from a thug's mentality. Some of us, it may not be anger. Some of us, it may be lust. It may be killing. It may be lying. But we keep it right here, and at any given moment, it can show itself. In the walk with Christ, when we met him to where we are today, we haven't come to the place where we can put it down. Simon Peter should have put the sword down. How can he fear for his life when he's seen a man bring a man life? How can he fear that somebody's going to kill me when he's raised from the dead? How can he fear? He didn't have a reason to fear. He didn't fear. He just wants to hold on to that old man. That old man, that old way of thinking, that old way of living. So many, like I said before, he has to change. It is impossible to be that close to Christ, the Messiah, the anointed one, and not change. It is impossible. He was with him. He was rubbing off on him. He was getting greasy. There's no